Okay, so it's really early in the morning. It's about 6, I think, or something like that. And we had a service call to this restaurant that last night they had to call the fire department because they had smoke everywhere. And supposedly the fire department came out and shut off every AC unit and told them to call the HVAC guys. So apparently it's in the HVAC unit. So I started with this unit right here. I don't have a manager here yet. I just have a cook that opened up the door for me. I don't see anything, but I could smell an electrical burn in 2 of the ACs I've opened up so far. I'm just looking for anything jumping out of my face right now. Nothing crazy yet. Motors turn and everything, so we're just opening up the ACs one by one individually, opening up the heat exchangers, seeing if there's anything. It's pretty cold outside. Nothing crazy yet. No cracked tubes on that unit. So now I'm opening this unit up, going through it, just checking everything out. Nothing's jumping out at me as of yet, but as the sun comes up, the roof's starting to get really icy and it's very slippery. This is like one of those, it's not a PTO roof, but it's just epoxy coated, so it's starting to get real icy up here. But there's a strong electrical burning smell in both of these ACs so far. But the motors, and I mean, I haven't energized anything yet, but we're just going to go through and check every AC, see if we can fit. So this unit is the one that the smell is the strongest in. We're going to start here. I checked 3-phase power at the disconnect. It has it. The fuses are good. Power's turned off. We're going to go ahead and power up this unit, fire up the indoor blower motor. I pulled the bottom of the indoor blower motor too to inspect the electrical. Don't see anything going on in there, but this has got a really strong burning smell. I have a feeling we got a motor that's bad. Before I fire it up though, I'm gonna check everything to ground just to make sure. And then we'll fire it up and see what happens, and we'll do them one at a time. Still troubleshooting, but I'm one step closer. So I went ahead and fired this unit up. So far it's running good. I mean, it's old, but surprisingly this thing doesn't have a cracked heat exchanger. It's definitely got a loose belt. I'm sure you guys can hear that squeaking. I've got it fired in heat mode right now. It's looking good so far, but I think I figured out what was going on. The cook downstairs doesn't really know, but I'm just looking around. I went ahead and turned on all their exhaust fans, but I noticed, I checked out the makeup air units too, and I noticed that this makeup air unit was shut off. It doesn't smell burnt, but there's a bunch of white powder all over the place. So I have a feeling that this motor is bad and it was smoking, and my theory is that it was blown into the kitchen and the smoke was getting sucked throughout the dining room. That's my theory. I don't know if that's the case yet. What's strange though is I don't have a burning smell in this one, but I'm still going through my troubleshooting process. So I turned on all the exhaust fans and turned off both of the makeup air units, and I'm slowly turning the ACs on one by one, putting the building into a massive negative air pressure by shutting off the makeup air units, so that way hopefully we can suck out some of this smoke smell, because it's pretty strong in these ACs. So I'm gonna let this guy run for a bit. Definitely need to get that insulation cut off, because that's gonna rub up against the heat exchanger as it has been. Sit there and melt off. But so we're just going through the troubleshooting. Okay, now we're on to the next unit. I tightened up the belt on this one, checked everything, checked 3-phase power to the disconnect first. It was shut off. Checked the disconnect load side to ground, nothing. Checked all the contactors to ground, nothing. Energized the unit. I spun all the motors, you know, pulled the bottom of the motor, inspected everything. Energized the unit, fired up the indoor blower motor with jumpers right now. Indoor blower motor's running fine and amping fine. It's not over amping. So now I'm going to fire up the heat. The fire department, it looks like they shut off the gas too to these 2 ACs. So yeah, that's where we're going. We're just going to keep on going. Of course I will check a lot more, but so far the heat is fired. Just to be safe, what I'm doing is I'm leaving the supply covers off to try to pull some of the air out of the building. Hopefully get some of that electrical burn wherever it's coming from. I still think it might be coming from that makeup air unit, but I'm gonna let these heaters run. Man, I hate on these old units how this stuff is peeling off, this insulation. I worry that it's gonna melt. But anyways, so we're just still checking everything. We'll have to figure something out with that. So it's starting to kind of worry me a little bit, but again, I'm just going through everything one at a time. I've got every one of these units fired up. This one right here, this one, and I just fired this one. Kind of surprises me that this one's heater's working. None of these components look like they've ever been changed. This unit's like probably from 92. It's kind of crazy. I think this thing's still working 100%. But anyways, I fired everything. I still can't replicate this burning smell. I went through the restaurant because they had a bunch of ceiling tiles removed. Made sure all the lights were good. There was no electrical shorts in the attic. I'm just trying to replicate this. Now, I definitely have issues with those makeup air units, but I got confirmation from the person that was here last night that it definitely wasn't coming from the kitchen, so that's what concerns me. So this makeup air unit right here is missing the filters. I don't know if you guys can see this, but there's a giant bag inside of the blower wheel all wrapped up inside of it. And then this makeup air unit over here, it's got a bunch of white powder all over the blower pulley and stuff. But the motor doesn't smell burnt. But you can see, like, it looks like it's burnt out. I haven't gotten to that yet because I'm just focusing on the ACs. Basically, they weren't opening the building until I gave them the okay. So I just gave them the okay to open it. And we're just kind of watching these units run. I'm not going to leave. I'm going to hang out for a while today to see because I don't want it to happen as soon as I leave. I don't know if it's an electrical, like a can light that was shorting out or something. You know, I don't know. So this is just one of those things. This is a customer that, you know, it's a good customer of mine. So I'm going to babysit this one and make sure that they're 100%. I don't want to leave and then have an electrical short. Even if it ends up being an electrician's problem or something, I'm at least going to try to find the problem. So just, you know, one at a time, running these units. We're not in a hurry. We're not in a rush. We're firing them, just letting them run. Go downstairs, check everything out, make sure the burning smell's not there. I actually have a technician bringing a bunch of air fresheners for me. We're going to put in those little tubs of air freshener crap inside all the returns to try to get some of this electrical burn out of the ductwork. Anyways, so that's where we're at. So this makeup air unit is the one that had the giant bag stuck in it. So what I did was it was already powered off. I cut the bag out, and then before I started it back up, also this, on these old Supreme makeup air units, there's just a couple screws and that whole filtered louver thing lifts right up. Obviously the filter missing is why there's a bag stuck in there. So, but before I powered it on, I went ahead and cleaned as much of the debris out as I could and then vacuumed it out real quick because it was gonna blow it right back downstairs. When you're working on forced air makeup air units that blow air back down into the building, you gotta be cautious about turning them on if you've powered them down for a long time. Like a swamp cooler or something like that that's been off for a long time, especially if it's been windy, the ducts will be full of sand and different things. So gotta usually let the kitchen staff know because you don't want to dust out all their food that they're cooking. So, but anyway, so this is running now. So far so good. So we're just doing it one thing at a time, just being cautious. I still have yet to find the culprit. What I did do though was I had another tech bring me a bunch of these silly little air fresheners. To be honest with you, I've never really found a need for these things. But I put 2 of these because they didn't have the big ones. 2 of these in every return to try to neutralize the odors from the electrical burn. So, and it seemed to work pretty good. I went downstairs right now. They've been running in there for about 20 minutes and you don't really get the electrical burning smell anymore. But everything is kicking on these things, man. I mean, we're running. That's a little hard away. This heater's been running for a while now. I'm actually going to power this one down. But yeah, everything's kicking, dude. So we'll see. Turn off the heater. And yeah, just going through it one at a time. So now I've got that little makeup air unit left, the one that looked like it had a burnt up motor. So I've already said that I don't like how this insulation's all back and melted, and I was looking at something back here on this limit switch and I noticed that this is all melted. This was wrapped around the wire
And what secured the wire to the wall, there's a hole going through to the compressor section right there. This stuff had melted. This is like cork tape almost or something. Doesn't really seem like something that's very smart to put in there. But what concerns me is why was it getting that hot in there to melt this? So I'm probably gonna have to throw my manometer on this and see what's going on with that gas valve, see what kind of pressures we're running. Make sure we don't got something funky going on. We'll see. I'm gonna secure these so they don't touch. I pulled the limit switch apart and inspected it. I mean, it doesn't look amazing, but it's fine. It's not burnt. But this piece right here smells massively like an electrical burn. Really bad. And it's just rubber or something that's completely melted. Interesting. And the wire's not broken, but the jacket's broken in a couple spots. Where this is the heat resistant wire. This thing is just beat down. It's really time for them to consider replacing this unit along with all the rest of these, but we'll see. Keep on. So this has been driving me nuts, but I think I just found it. Look at this. It smells really burnt too. That would explain an electrical burn right there. So that guy plugs into that. And it's all burnt out. I don't know why it's not shorting out on me right now. This thing was driving me nuts trying to find this problem. I still want to go through and check the pressure on the gas valves too, make sure that they're not overfiring or anything, but that's it right there. Drive me nuts, man. When you find that stuff, you get excited.
All right, so boy, that was early morning. So started out the previous night, I got a call like 11:30 at night saying that they had to shut down this restaurant early. The fire department came out. They were hoping that I could be there at like 6 a.m. the next morning, so I was cool with it. I got back out there, but here's where everything kind of fell apart. When I got there, there was a cook, and they couldn't get a hold of the manager that was there the previous night. And so that just kind of led me down a wild goose chase. So I didn't know where to really start. So you guys kind of saw my investigative process. Had I had better communication as this is exactly where it was, had we been able to get a hold of the person, it would have been a little bit faster, but it is what it is. So started out by diagnosing or going through every single air conditioning unit, okay? I wanted to know exactly what it was. So I fired the heaters in everyone, fired the air conditioning in everyone. Everything ran fine. But you did see how I kind of like with my troubleshooting processes, I found, bag stuck in the large makeup air unit, found a motor that was bad on the small makeup air unit, but none of those were the problems. Those were just other things that I found while I was there. I ended up finding the problems. Okay, there was actually two of them. There was the wiring jacket, or the stuff that was securing the wiring to the wall, that had melted. Okay, and then also there was the electrical short on the wiring harness for the heating section of the other unit. It was interesting. Okay, I'm still wasn't super comfortable leaving the restaurant, but what I ended up doing was, after I fixed those problems, I ended up having another tech come in behind me, because right away I had another emergency call right after here. But I was at this particular restaurant with the burning issue till 2 o'clock in the afternoon, from 6 till 2, going through every single unit. But I had another tech come out and replace the blower motor on that small makeup air unit. I pulled the plastic bag out of the big makeup air unit, and then I had my other tech come in behind me and check the gas pressures on those two units too. And he did adjust them down a little bit. I'm still concerned, and I warned the customer that the heat exchangers on those units are not in good shape. They don't have any cracks or visible holes that I could see at this time. And I did run a carbon monoxide detector across them too while they were running, just to make sure we weren't having any CO coming out of them. Nothing came up, but I did warn them and kind of told them basically this is probably going to be the last heating season they get out of those things, unless they want to go in and replace heat exchangers. But those are the old Sunline units, and I don't know. They're made by York. And I know 2 years ago I was able to get the heat exchangers for those, but as those things get older and older, you're not going to be able to get parts for them anymore. And the heat exchangers for those things, it it's not hard, but there's a lot of components you have to replace. And, you know, a lot of the stuff is really difficult to get. I know that was the problem 2 years ago. And 2 years ago, I had to change 7 of them at one restaurant because they didn't want to change the units, believe it or not. But anyways, I digress. So fixed the electrical short, secured the wires on the other unit, went through everything else, put the air fresheners in there. Everything was working fine. It's now been about 2 weeks since I performed that service call. They haven't had another problem there. So that was just an interesting one. You know, you can't rush through some of that stuff because, you know, had I left saying I couldn't figure it out, you know, we potentially would have had the fire department out there again. And who knows, maybe something would have caught on fire next time. So, you know, you got to just take your time, you know, and troubleshoot. You got to use your skills and go through it all. I really appreciate you guys taking the time to watch my videos. Please consider subscribing to my channel if you haven't already. Leave me some feedback down in the YouTube comments. I really like to see that stuff, guys. I like to interact with you guys. Check out the other channels I'm recommending right now. And other than that, I will see you guys on the next one, okay?